Can you hear me, Natasha?
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope that you all are doing well. Thanks for joining us for today's Teaching Tuesday. It's been a minute. We are, took the summer off to live life and create some balance, and we hope that you all were able to do the same. And now that we are good into the school year, we're back on Teaching Tuesdays. You can join us here on Tuesdays. Times will vary based on the discussion and who we have on. But it's a space for parents to be able to tap into the space to hear about things that's going on in the district, because we know you may not have the time to read those newsletters and the emails that are in your inbox. So we created this as an opportunity to share, come on here and share a bit of information. We won't go long, but our idea is to be in community with you. So if you are out there on social media, on our Facebook, our YouTube, engage with us. You can use the comment area to engage. Can see that and engage with any questions or comments that you have. And so glad for you all to join us today. I'm Natasha, Executive Director of Raise Your Hand. I am a little bit under the weather, but I am here and present with y'all for this opportunity to check in. I consider myself a forever parent organizer. I understand the importance of staying connected, being in community, and above all, staying present on what's needed in our schools to make them, um, safe havens for our children, right? And quality education and equity and all the things and wraparound supports that we know our young people need. So That is the motivation behind this podcast. I won't say a podcast, but these live stream teach-ins. And yeah, I want to pass it over to Kendra. Share a little bit about you and your brief introduction.
Good afternoon, y'all. Again, it's happy to be back. I'm Kendra from Raise Your Hands, parent organizer, and yeah, just happy to be on in the community with you all again to talk about some things that's going on in the CPS world. Um, I'm a mom. I want to say, as Natasha say, forever a parent organizer, wear many hats in the community and in this space. So, forever in tune of what's going on with our with CPS and with our children. Um, That's me for today.
Cool. So again, if you are joining us on Facebook or YouTube, and you know that there are parents that should, join us, share this link, share the live, repost it, and if you happen to tune in live with the or check us out on the replay, share this link and let's stay connected. So one of the things that we wanted to, get into, or I would say what we always share in this space is around LSC empowerment. And, we start there because we know as parents, it's just a real vital space for us to be, whether we are on the LSC, whether we attend those meetings, and are, again, just tapped into our school communities. So, we always, start the teaching Tuesdays around what's happening from an LSC realm. Um, yeah, so a bit of a primer there. Kendra, what's on your mind for um, to start us off on LSC empowerment and what we think folks need to or should hear?
Well, the top thing is fill those vacancies. We have hundreds of vacancies still open. Um, all across the map. So, check that out. Be a part of your LSC. Right now, this first month, I think the newly elected members are getting in tune with one another. I myself am new to the LSC that I'm on now with at my kids' school. So, just getting a feel of what's going on. But again, like I said, it's a lot of vacancies open. And if you want to fill those seats, um, you go on the CPS website. You can check your eligibility for um, I just drew a blank, but no, see if you're eligible. If you're a parent, of course, you have to be a parent at that school, a community member. You can't be a parent, but be in community with the school and just see if those vacancies are open. And then, of course, you find that open seat, especially for community members. I think community members play a key, a great part of being on that council because it's your neighborhood. You want to know what's going on in your school, and the schools around you and the things that's going on. So yeah, find an open seat. Always complete the packet. You should be able to get a LSC packet in a CPS school, and if not, you can contact me, and I will get one to you somehow. And then attend those LSC meetings. It's always important to just, whether you're holding a seat on the LSC or not, just going to those meetings are very vital. I've learned a lot about just the schools out in I live far south, and just a I've learned a lot of. I'm seeing a lot of different things, seeing a lot of the same stuff as well. Just going to the meetings out in my community, and it's very eye opening. And I think you all should all be a part of that as well. Um, Other than filling those vacancies, because I'm always say, fill those seats, fill those seats, fill those seats. I think that's pretty much what I got right now for LSC and vacancies. Yeah.
Yeah, from a vacancy standpoint, I mean, I would just, yeah, everything you said. And it's like for the schools that, don't have their full complement of LSC members. So that's less than six parents, less than two community members. At least at the LSC can vote to have you join the LSC. It's a pretty simple process. But the importance of it is those LSCs that have less than their full complement, they really do struggle to hold the school's business, right? Like pass budgets, to make budgetary decision, academic planning decisions, adequately evaluate the principal, are some of the top three. But there's a myriad of areas of decision that LSCs can have and hold. So if you see an opportunity to join your LSC, take that opportunity. I know it might seem daunting, but many of the LSCs hold very effective meetings, right? So you can really plan, a few hours out of a month would be your, commitment to serving on an LSC. And that kind of is a good segue to what I wanted to just touch on. We recently held some conversation about this is the perfect opportunity for LSCs to really feel empowered, especially as we're find ourselves amid this elected school board process to elect at least a hybrid, meaning half of the board will be elected and half of the board will be appointed. So that's what I mean in terms of hybrid. But we held a space for local school council members to have discussion with candidates who are running for those elected school board seats. And I thought some of the discussion that came out of that was really good to again just kind of share how fully empowered LSCs are able to do a lot at their school level, and then share and be in collaboration or community with these folks who will eventually be seated, and talked about how there was some connections, between the two elected bodies. So I don't know if you wanted to share some thoughts on what you took from that space, Kendra.
Um, well, I first want to say that I appreciate those candidates that have been coming out and giving that time and engaging dialogue with LSC members and parents. That's exactly what I am looking for. We've been talking about since the conversation came up, and we have gotten a question a lot about will they take away local school councils, and our answer will always be absolutely not. So the plan and hope is that we work together and make this board powerful for our kids. Now, like I said, I appreciate these school board candidates for coming out. We had two recent solidarity calls that we do monthly. And we had parents that were able to ask questions that were just on their heart that probably wouldn't be asked in a forum, asked, in a space with everyone. And it was just to get a real feel of how these candidates will support us. And they gave some pretty good answers. And I'm excited about what's to come. And again, like I said, I really do appreciate those candidates for spending that time with us to give us that just the feel of what to expect. So yeah.
Yeah, that definitely resonates. One of the things that I thought was, good was this idea that some folks have been lifting up around. ways for, I guess, the way that the districts are, I'm getting confused in my thoughts here. Let me slow myself down for a second. But the way that schools are broke out by district, that there would be some, there's an appetite for school board members to continue to stay in community with LSC, to talk about how, they would meet with LSCs when there are tough and big decisions, how they can, touch, make sure they check in, see what's going on at the school level. How will their decisions impact the school? That's one of the most important things that, drove the community to want to have, representative and accountable, school board, right? Because that's just something that we haven't, always, seen in the past or experienced in the past. So it was good to hear I guess, the strong desire to create bridges for LSCs and board members to collaborate on more important decisions, but also an opportunity for them to hear from LSCs, right? So it's, good opportunity to have two-way feedback.
Yeah, that was the good part. I think also with them coming out the way that they have, they are learning more about what's needed. Um, I know we started off with just a few at our first couple of meetings that we had, and then every time we do something, we just gain more and more people, and we hear more ideals and more what word am I looking for? But just I don't know the word I'm looking for. But yeah, just hearing them, I'm seeing I'm seeing how the connection is going to happen, and it's making me happy with the process. So yeah.
Yeah, and I echo what you were saying too about the candidates who came out who showed, I think, vulnerability in, the knowledge gaps, or, those who came to the space prepared with, things they have been thinking about. The candidates who said they're already going to LSE meetings. I think there was a candidate who was talking about how they had been to 10 different schools. And so that's a great opportunity for, I think there was actually a school who hosted a forum yesterday, but just a real good opportunity for candidates who may not have been across the city, because I'm hearing that they are also candidates who are doing some of that, right? They're going to adjacent districts because some of those schools might feed into or might be feeder schools into their district schools. So it was really, I would say, heartening to hear the ways that they are already seeing the strong value in LSCs, right? We know through data and research that when schools have a, empowered LSC, that that outcomes there are better outcomes as a result. So I think that's great. One of I think the only other thing that really stood out to me was, the concerns for, while there was, questions about some of the questions, excuse me, some of the candidates, in terms of what their, uh, what, whether they had LSC experience. That was interesting to me. What were your thoughts on that?
Surprising of the ones that didn't have any. But I guess, like I said, that with them making the commitment, and I think it was because of the LSC members and the parents stating that that's what we were looking for. I think it's room for them to grow along with the LSCs. Yeah, like I feel like honestly, like maybe they should take some module trainings, even though they don't plan on being on the councils. Like I think that'll be, I guess, just to put some feel of what goes on, especially when we speak about the budget, when we speak on the CIWP, just especially those like ethics and all those things that we go over when we do module trainings. I think that if they log on and learn a little bit more, I think it'll help them along the way to understand, you know, once they are attending these meetings of what's really going on in these buildings.
No, that's a great idea. We should coin that. I think we should, at least see what partner organizations feel about pulling together a workshop to help better ground those members who don't have LSC experience and tap into, this powerful body of parents, majority councils that can really be an ally in a lot of ways to really help shift conditions based off what we see and what we currently experience across the district. I guess that's also a segue to talk about LSE module training. Look, we are on. We just completed our third round of the 9 modules.
Yeah.
So we're taking just a brief break before pivoting to restarting those. We'll start off with more virtual offerings, and then be looking forward to pivot to in-person sessions. So, if you've been following us over the last year, we've held sessions at libraries across the city, those that are accessible, fully accessible physically, and then, of course, by public transportation, free parking. So we'll continue to do that. We'll launch those in-person sessions in October. And then we're also available to come to your school. So Kendra, you want to talk a little bit about what that looks like? I know you and the training cohort is thinking about, what the school level engagement around training looks like.
Yeah. So the plan, well, what we want to do is offer those trainings so that if you train with your council, you all will be on the same page. Learning things together is kind of learning it, not always the same, but I guess ideally, you heard the same thing. So we are planning to pop up at LSC meetings. Will not pop up. We're going to show up to some LSC meetings. We're going to engage with the council and see if that's something you all are looking forward to doing. And again, if this is something that you want to do, you can just contact me directly, and we can possibly put that together to host some training, some courses with your council. We were looking to do that like in October, but again, if you have the capacity, if you can put the people in the room, we're available to do that. Always willing to. Yep. Stay connected to Kendra.
One of the things that this piece around training together always comes up. LSC members believe, or there's a belief that the Open Meetings Act limits LSC members from ever having more than a certain number, a minimum number of, essentially half of a quorum. And so in reality, the Open Meetings Act does not apply to training or retreats. So really take advantage of the opportunity to take modules together. And again, it helps root out confusion or maybe just lapses in understanding, right? Especially when you get to the more difficult decisions like principal evaluation, principal selection, right? Budget decisions. There are changes to those areas. So even if you've been on the LSE for a while, the modules have changed there's some information that I would say details that have changed in those modules. So it's good to even have a refresher. So, having the opportunity to train together is something that I know from my own LSE experience really did hit it out of the park in terms of us being extremely effective and on the same track together. So we're willing to come out to you if your school is the best place to do that, or a neighborhood space that you can host us, bring people. If you want to bring multiple schools, we are happy to support and happy to have the opportunity to have a small cohort of community certified trainers in order to empower LSEs, not beyond the modules, but really to share best practices and things that we have gleaned, with the experience that we have from a community-based perspective. Did I miss anything, Kendra?
About that, no, you did not. That I thank you for bringing that point up about the, because I think that was people's biggest fear about the violating the OMA, and so yeah, just mentioning that to let them know like that does not do that. And again, like you, as you said, in community, it don't have to be at a school. If you have a community space and we can invite multiple schools and multiple councils there, it would be great just to be in community with those folks. Yeah. And what else did we have to talk about today?
Yeah, on the run sheet, we also want to talk about this. I mean, the biggest news, I would say news, but really, what we're most excited about in this moment is this bridge that we've been talking about for a while, right? LSC is a bridge to, really unpacking the elected school board, Chicago's first elected school board. Now, we'll start off with the hybrid board, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, but eventually, and in 2026, there will be elections for a fully elected board. So until we get there, there are candidates running across 10 districts. In those 10 districts, there are a variety of candidates who are stating their platform. They're doing round robins or visiting different schools, spaces, forums in the community, and it's a real opportunity for parents, community, for voters to feel informed for in the run up to the November election, right? So whether you do early voting, mail-in voting, the opportunity is upon us to host, forums, which is a great way to understand the candidates' platforms, what they think is important, what they view as their why. There's a myriad of questions that moderators will ask the candidates, but it's also an opportunity for the community to come out and join us to ask your own questions. So yeah, I'm excited about the forums that's coming up. Do you want to share a little bit more details about Saturday, Kendra? Then we can go from there.
Yep. So Saturday we will be hosting the first one at Inglewood STEM High School. Um, Starts at 10. Um, I believe the address is 6800 South Stewart. There we go. And yep, it goes from the doors open at 9:30 a.m. We'll get started about 10. There is the address is 6835 South Normal, and it's parking is fully free parking. The CTA is right off the 69th Street bus. The red line is not too far. We have childcare available and light refreshments. But it'll be a good space to voice your concerns, ask some questions, meet the candidates face to face, and just get a better feel of what we have in store. So we're hoping to see you all there Saturday morning. Like I said, doors open at 9:30 a.m.
Yeah, I'm excited about the program. We have a really great and engaging program. We built it intentionally with parents, youth, community in mind. We have a majority of the candidates from districts 6, 9, and 10 who will be in attendance with us to share their platforms and more, get to know a little bit more about them. Um, One of the things that I think folks will particularly, I think it's important that when we go to these forums, it's not just for the candidates to share their platforms, which is really important. Again, we intentionally built a space into the agenda where the community can ask their, take the mic and ask their questions. We'll have voter registration on site. It'll be an opportunity to engage with other members, other parents. So it'll be fun. Like I said, light refreshments will be provided. We have a great opening plenary of folks who are going to give us a great grounding into the space around this moment that we find ourselves in. Let's not forget, Inglewood STEM sits on the grounds of the former Robeson High School. And so there's some acknowledgement that we want to, it was intentional for us to hold it at Inglewood STEM. And so we're excited to be, partnering with Teamwork Inglewood, the Inglewood CAC, Mr. Dad's Fathers Club is our co-host, to really bring a great event to the community. So come out and join us on Saturday, on September 21st at 10 a.m. Doors open at 9:30. It's going to be a good time. And then we're going to do this across the city, right? So, across the city, we plan to break these forms out based off of a myriad of things. There was no real rhyme or reason, but districts 1 and 3, and then 2 and 4 is also what we plan to, to host next. So District 1 and 3 is going to be held at I should say, actually, let's go with District 2 and 4. Is going to be held Saturday, October 5th. That's going to be at Lane Tech High School at 2501 West Addison. Fully accessible, free parking with CTA nearby. Doors are going to open for that forum at 11 a.m. The program will be from 11:30 to 2. And again, that's going to cover candidates in District 2 and 4. We're going to drop a link in the chat if you're not sure which district you're in. We'll provide an opportunity for you to do that. And I don't have I wish I had the overlay for the other form, but the next form is actually going to be the very next day. Districts 1 and 3. It's going to be held at Stymez College Prep. And again, I don't have that in front of me. I regret that I don't, but that's going to be at Stymez the very next day on Sunday, October 6th. Um, and, really want to invite the community out to stay tuned. Stay tuned to our social media. The flyers and community events are already out on our social media on Facebook and across Twitter or X. The registration links are out there for folks to be able to register and join us. If you want to join forums from across the city to hear what's being said, again, these districts are important for voting, but once they're seated, they collectively make those decisions. So you are free to or welcome to join all of these upcoming forums. What did I miss? And this other overlay did not pop up. But if I didn't miss anything, Kendra, I'm just curious. What? Yeah. If there's anything that I missed in terms of the candidate form, I'll land with that.
I don't believe you missed anything, but we will be ecstatic to see you all out and showing your face and support in these spaces. No, I don't. Other than that, you didn't miss anything.
All right. Well, I think this was primarily what we wanted to, share with you from an LSC perspective, also from the elected school board process. Stay tuned to, learn more. There's more forums. We're looking at doing forums in districts 5, 7, and 8. So details coming soon for that. There'll be a myriad of opportunities to continue to stay engaged from an LSC and elected school board process. We'll talk about those each Tuesday, unpacking a little bit more to, again, inform the voter. We do not endorse or oppose candidates. We do have a candidate questionnaire that is live. Candidates are answering or I should say have just a few more days to submit that questionnaire. And afterwards, we will, make those responses public, so that again, our goal is to inform voters, and so we ask, our questionnaire is based off questions that you submitted. Everyday parents who signed on and shared comments and questions over the last month and a half. So thank you for that, and stay tuned for those questionnaire response, the forums, and continue to stay engaged through the November 5th election. All right, so I think we can pivot. What I'm really excited about is bringing on our team to talk a little bit more about resource equity, organizing in this across the state, beyond Chicago, in terms of what's happening around the EBF, resource equity, and so happy to bring on our team to talk and share a little bit more around what's going on with Pierre, Illinois. So if I can welcome on Maddie and Erica to join us to talk and take us from here. Welcome, y'all. If you'd like to do an introduction and then get into your offering for us for today.
Sure. Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Maddie. I'm the Peer Illinois Coalition Coordinator, and I'm going to share my screen while Erica can introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Erica. I'm a lead organizer with the Peer Illinois Coalition. You should be able to go into present mode.
Yeah.
I'm letting you. It's okay. It doesn't.
Okay. I was like, it's not letting me right now, but I can try it. This is fine.
It's okay. Yeah. So today we're gonna go over a quick overview of how funding in public schools works in Illinois, what is going on around that area at the state level and a little bit at the local level, and then just ways to get involved with fighting for more funding, essentially. Go to the next slide. So there was a legal act called evidence-based funding that was passed back in 2017. It was a community as well as a legal effort to address the unequal ways that public schools were being funded in Illinois. It was really heavily relied on property tax, which we know if you were coming from a lower income community, your property tax revenue was not as high as other communities, so your schools were getting less funding through the state because it was heavily dependent on how much money you could bring in from your property taxes. So EBF just had its 7th year anniversary on August 31st. It's meant to really really distribute funding based on each public school district's needs versus how many students. I mean, it does take into account that, but that's not the main way that the state distributes money to different school districts. It's really based on what are your students' needs, how many low-income students do you have, do you need more funding in terms of resources for special education, Do you have a lot of English language learner students? So it really takes into account, much more than just how many students are in a seat. And that's, the highest schools with the highest, or like the public school districts with the highest needs obviously get the most money. And the way that it's funded is from a little bit from the property tax revenue that we get every year, but there should be additional funding that goes into this formula, essentially. You can go to the next slide. So at EBF, right, it's supposed to be funded at a minimum of $350 million a year, which, the Governor Pritzker approves that budget every year, has been funding this since its existence. But the thing with that is that there should be an increase every single year. So there should be, the state should be putting much more money than just $350 million every year. We should have seen a steady increase over time. That is, the 350 is just the minimum required. Pretty much just keep it somewhat stable in a way. But because we haven't been seeing that increase, EBF and really public school districts won't receive what the state calls full funding. So the state measures full funding through an adequacy target, meaning they calculate, if the school had all the resources that it needed to really support every single student in their public school district, how much would that be, essentially? What would the total amount of that? So they calculate how much, like a estimate of how much you would need to be a fully funded public school district. And so that's like a goal that they have for every school district, especially ones that are lower income and have the highest needs. They are the furthest away from the goal, so they should be given more money each year. But because that has not really been happening, EBF and really public school districts, our students won't see full funding until the 2040s. And that's really large gaps of funding that's missing. And so there was also a promise by the state representatives who put EBF, or evidence-based funding, into law, that they were supposed to fund this entire formula by 2027. But we're already in 2024, and that is most likely not going to happen. That would mean that we would have to miraculously find $4.8 billion to really fund EBF by 2027. And that is a lot of money. There are many other public goods or public areas that need just as much as funding to really be able to support all of the people in need. Creates a lot of tension and competition among resources that really should not exist. And as maybe you know this, maybe not, but the federal government had released what we call ESSER funds in 3 different phases after the COVID-19, or as a response to the pandemic. A lot of schools were struggling to bring students back into school, to catch students up to speed in terms of reading, learning, writing, and all these different skills, right? Making up for the time that was in a way lost. So the federal government pretty much pumped extra money into the states to really support schools with hiring extra teachers, hiring extra tutors, really putting efforts into getting students back into schools and really supporting them with tutoring and other services. And a lot of that money also went to teacher salaries. It went into new hires. It went into even facilities updates or renovations. So this really boosted up a lot of schools that had very strained budgets or had very small budgets. It really gave them a little bit of a boosting up there. You can go to the next slide. Right, so ESSER funds are set to end, I believe, at the end of this month or into 2025. And public school districts and the state in general are really trying to, are in a kind of panicking a little bit because there will be large gaps in funding, especially for the lower income, underfunded school districts. They don't have the money to make up for this loss of ESSER funds that's coming. Again, because they're not producing as much property tax revenue as other, as wealthier neighborhoods or wealthier public school districts. And so that's kind of where the state would come in with EBF in Illinois, particularly if there was that extra funding being put into EBF. So we've already kind of started seeing some of those impacts. This past legislative session, the state did recognize that they have a shortfall in the revenue. So there were a lot of cuts, especially to after school programs. I believe the parent mentors program saw a cut as well. And EBF was basically left at the 350 minimum, which we know is definitely not enough. We're also we've been doing some research around what other public school districts are seeing in the state, not just in CPS, but many are facing budget deficits themselves. CPS alone faced a 550 million deficit, and that led to a lot of district level layoffs. So by that I mean cuts in positions in their district office. So they really tried not to touch local schools in terms of layoffs. Another example is Evanston Skokie School District. There's a lot of uproar right now or controversy around a possible school closure in Evanston, mainly because there's a budget deficit of 10 million. And so there's been a lot of community engagement and organizing to really prevent that from happening. And we're also seeing like new hire positions that were hired through ESSER funding are potential, they're going to be one of the first to let go, and that's usually new teachers, that's been teacher assistants, that's been math and reading assistants, tutors, and other people who've kind of been brought in to really give one-on-one support to students. And then on top of that, we have seen a rising cost of living. Like we are hearing that some school districts, like special education services, are getting more expensive. Busing is getting more expensive. Just buying materials for the classroom is really expensive, and it's really causing a lot of strains on schools' budgets. Kind of makes it hard to kind of move around be flexible with the money a little bit. So there has to be another source of revenue where we can make up for the loss that many school districts are about to feel this upcoming year, if not already.
Yeah, thank you, Erica. Thanks for that explanation. I know sometimes it can feel, or at least to me, when I started learning about school funding, it can feel really abstract to be talking about these big giant numbers that seem like unreal amounts of money. But especially that last slide that you shared with us, Erica, I think people are already starting to feel the effects of this funding and have been feeling the effects of this funding. You might be feeling it at your school and not realizing even that this is not just happening at your school, not just happening within CPS or your district, but it's a statewide issue. And so what does that mean for us as parents, as community members, as educators? We know that investing in our students is vital, that it's a worthy investment. We've also seen that state reps have really been unwilling to put more money into EBF beyond the annual required amount. So that's why Peer Illinois exists as a coalition. We have been demanding a reinvestment in our public schools across Illinois, and we're going to continue to do that as those issues continue, or for as long as those issues continue. And we're growing as a coalition. So we really would like your help. If this is an issue that interests you, if this is something that you've been feeling the impact of, we would love for you to join our coalition and tap in wherever you have the capacity. As a member of Peer Illinois, or just being involved with us in general, we could support you with building your own organizing skills, taking those stories that you have of school funding issues and bringing them to reporters, bringing them to state representatives in Springfield, and connecting you to parents across the state and community members and educators across the state who might be sharing those struggles and might have some support to give you. So if you would like to sign up for our listserv, there's a link down here, and then we can also post it in the chat. That's going to be bit.ly/peerinvolve. And then we also have an event coming up. So this event is going to be a listening session, and we'd love to see you there. Basically, we are hoping to hear what your concerns are related to school funding. It's a chance to connect with people from across the state who might be having similar concerns, and really just get actively involved in shaping our campaign at Peer Illinois, and collaborating with us to help us determine what are those things that we need to talk about in Springfield, and what are those things that we need to specifically demand from our state representatives. So we have one more link for you. First link is for the listserv if you want to get general updates for the coalition. This second link, this bit.ly/peer listening, is going to be if you'd like to join us at that listening session. It is going to be on Zoom on Tuesday, September 30th from 5 to 6 p.m. So if you're able to join virtually and share your stories with us, we'd love to see you there. And I think that's all I have. Am I missing anything, Erica?
No, you pretty much said everything.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everyone.
Thanks you all for the update. A little bit delayed here. I think I was just doing a pause to make sure, Kendra, that I didn't like cross you. Is there anything else that you wanted us to discuss before we move to wrap up with closing thoughts, closing remarks? And then I was looking to see if there were any questions or comments in the chat. But yeah, Kendra, do you want to close us out?
Just one thing I wanted to add. I wanted to talk about our parent leaders meeting that we have scheduled for October 16th at Woodson Library on 95th and Halsted. Again, we have free parking, childcare, refreshments will be provided, and we again will be able to engage more about with LSCs and the elected school board and the connections that we have. And I am checking for questions and I see there is none. So if we don't have anything else, we want to thank you all for being with us, for Teaching Tuesday. We will see you all next Tuesday. Thank you all for coming out.
All right. Thank y'all. Take care.
Bye.